Hello friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Brooke and you look lovely today. Today is Wednesday, September the 4th, and this is the beginning of a new reading vlog. So last month I did weekly reading vlogs for the Newts and the Disney-a-thon readathons that I participated in. This month I've decided to try out something different to see if I like this more. My plan is to make vlogs that just focus on a single book or like group of books that are like a series or something. I'm hoping to format these videos as a vlog of me reading and then at the end giving a more comprehensive review. I don't know how good I'm gonna be at straight up reviews, but we're gonna check it out. And then I would like to end with some shout outs to some other booktube reviews of the same book. And I am starting with I'm Not Dying With You Tonight by Kimberly Jones and Gilly Segal. This is the Barnes & Noble YA Book Club pick for September. I do have a finished copy this time instead of an ARC. I mentioned that this was the book for September in my reading vlogs from last month at some point. I don't know if you saw it, but I did. So I've decided that I'm going to start with this one because I have to read it. And also, no one has been showing up to my particular Barnes & Noble's book club meetings, and so I thought, even if no one shows up, this is a way for me to participate in the discussion. This particular vlog is also especially important because this is going to be the first book that I'm going to annotate completely for fun. I have annotated books for school before, although not very diligently. Like sometimes I would make notes or tab things in books that I had to read and write essays about just to kind of keep track of themes or motifs or symbols that I wanted to write about, but I never went really into it. You know what I'm saying? Like how other booktubers get really into it. And I've never really liked the thought of annotating. I always felt like it kind of took away something from the reading because you were just thinking about what to write all the time. But I have been seeing a lot of other booktubers try it. I do really like the idea of annotation being a way to interact with the book and make the book your very own. I retweeted this tweet by Yasmin the Reader earlier this week, and it says, "Let your books show the memory of you. Write in them, dog-ear them, let their pages crinkle, show the world your thoughts, put yourself into your books, leave your memories and parts of you within them." And I think that's a really good sentiment. I also think annotating might help me with reviews or talking about books, kind of helping me keep track of my thoughts. And I also think it might be good for later reference if I ever want to make sure I remember what the book's about. However, another part of the reason that I've never wanted to annotate is because I'm very particular about how my books look on the shelf, and also writing in them kind of terrifies me because I feel like as a child you get ingrained in you not to write in books that's destroying them, and it's still there for me. So for supplies and method, I've decided to go with removable sticky tabs and pencils for now. I can color code and still write in them, but nothing is technically permanent. I could go over with pen later if I wanted, and of course you just leave the tabs there. But I am not ready to use permanent ink or highlighters in my books at this juncture. I'm Not Dying With You Tonight seemed like the perfect book to start with. Number one, because I have to do a discussion for it, hopefully if someone comes, so it would be good to have all my thoughts together. Number two, this is not a book I necessarily chose for myself. It was chosen for me by my work, and I think I'm gonna enjoy it anyway, but I also think if I hate this whole annotating deal and I'm upset with how it turns out and how it looks, I won't be that upset because it's a book I got for free, and it's not necessarily a book that I super care about at this juncture. I have also been spending the last 2 days determining my system, my color coding system. I know there are a lot of different ones that booktubers have. Some break it down by character, some do reactionary feelings, some do more story structure sort of things. I've kind of tried to combine those things because I like a lot of elements from all of them, and also I'm new to this, so there's no real way for me to know how it's gonna happen. I also think that annotating a new book versus a reread is also different. So for this one, I just decided to go with a baseline system, and I'll see how it works with this, and I can always, adjust it for specific books or if it doesn't work for me. But here it is. I'm gonna, zoom in so you can see my pencil, but also I'm gonna go over it out loud for you so you don't have to if you don't want to. Pink is positive feels, so when I'm happy, when I laugh, when I'm just yes, I'm so glad that happened, pink. Orange is character, which is going to be when a character is introduced, character descriptions, because your girl has very bad visualization skills. I don't see anything when I read. I think a lot of people find that really strange because for a lot of people, as they say, reading is like watching a movie in your head. I don't have that at all, so I'm very bad at remembering what things look like. It's going to be backgrounds about characters because I'm interested in that, relationships because that's a good part of story building, and like good moments, like moments that really show who the character is, moments that show growth, that sort of thing. Then I have plot, which are important events just to mark where they are, but also the biggest reason I want to do this is foreshadowing / predictions, because I'm very good at and I really much enjoy figuring out what is going to happen. Like, not in ways that are obvious, like when the book is more subtle and there's little things and I'm like, they specifically mention this detail that's going to come up later. I know. And I love doing that, and I want to be able to mark the points where I figure that out. And then green is world, which I wasn't really sure I was going to need for this book since it's a contemporary. That's like more of a thing I feel like in like fantasy sci-fi books. But I was like, you know, some things are standard, some things we gotta keep track of. I'm gonna try it out and see if I like it, and you know, maybe I'll come up with something else for contemporaries later. But it's going to be place descriptions, because again, visualization, rules / systems, because even contemporary things, there's a way things work. People call things certain things and do things a certain way. And history of a place or people. Blue is negative feelings. I don't really know if I'm going to be using this one that much. I don't necessarily have a lot of negative feelings when I'm reading. Like, sometimes I get sad, but books don't really make me cry the way that movies and stuff very easily do, I think because of the visualization thing. And like, I don't really always get angry. I have like, oh shit moments, but like not really anger. I don't know, but I was like, I'm gonna put it on here and try it. Indigo is for writing. So this is like quotes and passages that I like, which a lot of people mark quotes. But I also want to be able to talk about writing if I don't think it's good. Not necessarily because I think the writing in this book is going to be bad, but like as a general thing. So it's quotes / passages and criticisms. And then purple is diversity, because representation and that sort of thing in books is really important to me. And I just have representation and intersectional themes, which can be, you know, themes about feminism and gender issues, or racial issues, or poverty issues, or whatever. It's intersectional. So that's the system I'm going to be using. This book isn't that long. We'll see what happens. I'm going to be vlogging it. I don't know if I'm going to start reading tonight. I kind of want to, but I also kind of really want to go to sleep because it's already after 10 and I got to wake up in the 6 o'clock hour tomorrow. And I'm sleepy because I worked a very long day today. So we'll see what happens. Hello y'all, it's now Thursday. I haven't done any reading today, but last night before I went to bed, I did read the first 2 chapters of I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. Let me take, this is my bookmark. It's the letter they sent, the promo letter. I'll just take that out right now. But so that's where I'm at right now. Those are my tabs. So far, I'm really liking annotating this book. It's making me think a lot more about character dynamics and what the character reveals about themselves and their surroundings related to their own background. Like the one character, this is like her established world. She's always lived here, and so she talks a lot more about the people around her and not really her own life. Whereas the other character, this is a new situation for her. She's just moved to the town that this is set in, and so she's focused a lot more on the people around her and what everything looks like, and I thought that was a cool thing for me to notice. I've also been using a lot of the orange tabs. I feel like I'm using a lot more tabs than I see other people use, I think because I'm trying too hard and wanting to mark a lot of things. I might go ahead and take a couple of the tabs that I did out just because there's like, you know, 2 orange tabs on a page or something, because there were things I wanted to mark, and I don't really think that's the purpose of the tabs, so I might be reevaluating that, especially because like I think I'm already almost out of the orange tabs on this one. I got like 2 left or something, and ain't about it. But it also makes sense because at the beginning, you know, their author is introducing all the characters that are important and letting you know the important things about them that you need to know for the story. I think I am really gonna like this. The writing seems pretty strong. I'm gonna read more of it. Oh, also, this book is one of those books where the chapter always starts on the same page, so if it ends on a wrong page, this page is blank. So I took the time to write down some thoughts on this page last night after I finished reading those about my observations, which I think is really cool. And so that's where I'm at with this right now. I might update again later. We'll see. So it's later on Thursday now, much later, and I just finished part 1 of I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. then's all my tabs. I went back through the first chapter when I first started reading and took out a few tabs because as I said, I felt like I was kind of using too many, but I feel like I'm like getting the balance and the hang of it now, and so I'm happy about that. I'm really liking the book. I'm really liking the experience of annotating. I probably should not have stayed up this late doing so. It's like 11:30 and I gotta wake up at 6:30 to go to work, and I got like a 10-hour day tomorrow, so that's great for me. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I just wanted to give that little update before I went to bed. Look how pretty it's looking. Hello friends, it is now Sunday morning. I just got out of the shower, as you can see, but I wanted to give you an update on the reading. Last night I got to about the halfway point, which is finishing 2 parts out of 5, but by page count it's halfway through. I think it's still going really well. I'm still enjoying annotating. I'm still seeing a lot of things because I'm paying more attention, which is great. I did notice that, hold on, I think I can show it this way. So this is the first part of the book and like how many tabs I had. And this is the second part. So I don't know if you could tell from that angle because that was a shitty angle because I only have one hand. But I put a lot more tabs in the first part than the second part, which I think makes sense because there was a lot of new information being given in the very first part, and now it's like just progressing from there. So I think that makes sense. I'm really liking the writing in this book, and I really think the characterization is really strong. Lena, who is one of the characters, her motivations sometimes are a little cloudy to me, all of the ones that relate to her boyfriend, which it's almost very realistic for a teenage girl, like the way she acts about her boyfriend. It's just sometimes there's like, I feel like a sentence or two would kind of clarify her train of thought, because like right now they're headed to like go meet her boyfriend so he can drive them home. But I'm looking at the map and I was like, I feel like it's just the same amount of time for them to walk home. So I don't understand why they're doing this. And I think it's just partially because she wants to see her boyfriend, but like there's like a piece of logic missing there a little bit. But I'm enjoying everything else a lot. I think this book is really impactful, writing's good, characterization's good, like I said. That's where we're at. I don't know how much more reading I'm going to get done today because I'm trying to really focus on my YouTube channel today. I have 2 videos that need to be edited from the end of August, and I have 2 videos that I want to film and maybe start putting the clips from this vlog into the computer so that they're there and something started. So I got a lot of work to do today. I might take like a reading break somewhere in the midst of there, but we'll see. So it's now Tuesday, September the 10th. I have made very decent progress into I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. I just got to the beginning of part 5, which is the last part, and there's about 40-ish pages left. So I thought I'd give a little update before I finish and give my final annotation thoughts. I had a lot of time to read today because I worked my shift in the morning at the library, and then I had a break, and then we had a staff meeting, so I read a lot during that time. I'm not going to say much about annotating at this moment because I'm gonna give my final thoughts when I finish the book, hopefully in like an hour or so. I will say that I did run out of orange tabs and had to like stick some more on there from another thing, and that's something I'll be discussing more, I think, too. But I'll see you then. Hello friends, it's now Wednesday. I did finish I'm Not Dying With You Tonight last night, but I was very tired and I knew I had to get up early today to go to work, so I decided to wait to film this little annotation wrap-up clip. This part is just my final thoughts about the process of annotating. I am going to film a separate, more formal-ish clip for the actual review later. Also, sorry if I repeat myself a little bit. I hate when I do that, but I wanted to both have the process of my thoughts as I went and my final wrap-up in this video, so sorry if you don't like that. So as I think I did mention, I tabbed a lot more at the beginning of the book than the end of the book. I think you can definitely tell now that there's tabs all the way through. I think this was partially because the beginning of the book, there's a lot more information, a lot of characters introduced, were being shown the world and told about the characters' backstories and what's important to them, and those are a lot of things that I wanted to mark, and later in the book that's not happening as much. I think it's also because I was finding my groove in what I wanted to tab and what I just wanted to mark with the pencil. For instance, the character tab, the orange one, I originally wanted to use for, I'm going to read the actual description out of my key in my book, intros, descriptions, backgrounds, relationships, moments. I wanted to do all of those things, and I did mark all of those things at least with my pencil, But if I had marked every single instance of one of those things with a tab, I'd have used like a bajillion tabs. And so I ended up basically just marking every new character, even the very small ones, and a couple of descriptions where they explicitly mentioned the character's race, because I wanted to know when that occurred and how they did it. So I went ahead and marked some of those. I'm not upset with that in this book. I think in other books, I might not mark every single character. Like, I might go and remove marks for characters that don't end up being important. They're like very small scenes. They're just like barely mentioned. But for this book, I really liked it because I enjoyed the contrast between Campbell experiencing the world as a new place and Lena having lived there her whole life. And when you live a place your whole life and you really know it, you know so many people and you know so many little things about them. And so, like, for instance, when they're running away from the riot at the school, she sees this guy and she names him and she's like, he's always getting out of the situations, and if he's going this way, we need to be going that way. And that's like all she says about him, but it's like such an in-depth knowledge, and I loved the way this world was populated with that from her. So I liked having those for this book. So the tab colors I did end up using the most was number 1, orange, and number 2, the pink. I replaced both colors with swatches from some of my other little plastic things so that I would have them all on one thing. That makes sense to me because, like I said, there was a lot of small characters introduced that I wanted to mark, and I feel a lot more happy emotions than I do sad ones while I read. Like, I get awe feelings and I laugh out loud and stuff like that. Also, Lena was very funny and she made me laugh a lot, so I marked a lot of that. The color I used the least was this indigo color that I wanted to use for writing. I really liked the writing in this book. That does not reflect my opinion on the writing. I think I'm just bad at picking out quotes that I like. I think that's something that I will get better at the more I annotate books. But for this one, I marked like 3 quotes and then where the title appeared in the story. The 2 that I was most surprised that I actually used quite a bit of was the yellow one for plot and the green one for world. I read contemporaries for writing and character. That's what I care about. Whereas I think with fantasy or sci-fi, I care a lot about the world and the plot. Characters are also important to me in those situations, but I feel like the plot and the world need to have a lot more substance in a fantasy or a sci-fi. So I didn't expect to use these a lot. Another reason I didn't expect to use them a lot was because I've always kind of disliked annotating because I didn't like marking things that were obvious, if that makes sense. Like things that I thought I was going to remember very easily, or just like, why did I need to mark plot points or where they were? Like, that was important, but like it was important enough for me to like retain and obvious enough that I didn't feel like I needed to mark it. But I really did enjoy it in this book. Like, I enjoyed tracking how the threads of the story were coming together. I think that's my writer brain wanting to learn more about structure, and I did enjoy actually noticing and marking the descriptions of the world. Number 1, I think because the writing in this book and the descriptions were good and in a way that I enjoyed. And number 2, because I don't pay attention to that kind of thing that often because I'm not a visual reader. So I was very surprised that I did utilize those so well, especially in this book. So I completely enjoyed my annotation experience, and I'm really happy about that, and I'm really excited to keep annotating books. I was worried that annotation would disrupt my reading experience. I think because I'm not a visual reader, I don't become as immersed in the story as other people, and with college giving me a more analytical mindset, I enjoyed really taking in the story and reading it in a mindful way, which I think before this video I will have posted my library book haul for the month, and I actually have a book that I want to read on mindful reading. So that kind of goes with that, I guess. But I think because of those things, my reading experience was slower because I was thinking about a lot more things, but I enjoyed the thought process, and I don't feel like it disrupted my experience of the story. I also recognize and know that I don't have to annotate every book that I read. If I don't feel like annotating, I don't have to. That's the simple whatever. And if I do feel like, I can. And now I have started it and I have the tools and the knowledge to do so. It's kind of. I am excited and curious to see the difference between annotating a book during a first read, like I did for this one, and annotating reread, as well as the difference between annotating a standalone and annotating a series. Because, for instance, this book, a lot of character introductions, and I think when that happens, all my orange tabs will be character introductions. But if there's multiple books in a series, later in the series, there aren't near as many character introductions. All the important characters have already been established, usually pretty early on, and you're learning a lot more about the characters and can track their moments and things like that a lot more, and I think that would be interesting. I also think it would be interesting to, like, watch how a series plot arc happens and be able to mark that. I now really want to go back and annotate all my favorites, like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, so I might be rereading The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, and The Titan's Curse again, even though I already read them this year, just so I can do that, because I want to read all of them. Like Artemis Fowl, like John Green. I know people be throwing shade at John Green, but I still like him, okay? I want to have those books that I love so much, and I want to have my thoughts in them. I want them to be really, really mine. And I think that's what annotation is kind of about, when you're just doing it for fun. So 5 out of 5 stars to annotating, and this first annotating experience. I will be back with the review and some recommendations real soon for y'all. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it for me. Hopefully soon. I have some other videos that are gonna go up in the meantime, so y'all ain't gonna miss me that much. I also have to, like, watch other people's videos related to this book so that I can recommend some stuff. I also still have the book club meeting for this. Today's Tuesday. It's gonna happen on Thursday. I really hope someone shows up. Hello, friends. So, nobody came to my meeting as expected, but now we're here to do a full wrap-up review of I'm Not Dying With You Tonight by Kimberly Jones and Gilly Segal. I don't want this clip to be super long since it is part of a larger video, but I'm gonna cover the basics. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. This is the first official rating I have given a book in a hot minute. I've decided I'm not going to consistently rate books or use Goodreads until the beginning of next year, kind of giving myself some time to get back into the mindset. I'm going to talk some more about that at the beginning of my wrap-up, but I did decide to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I read contemporaries for writing and character mostly, so we're going to start with that. The writing in this book was really strong. Strong is the best word that I can use to describe it. It wasn't like lyrical or flowery, but it still hit me. It's the kind of writing that I aspire to almost. Obviously, it's a different voice because these are different writers, but it's that plainer but like really get you language that I like. I'm gonna read you a quote that kind of illustrates what I mean. On page 192, there's this quote. "Even with my eyes closed, I can't imagine myself away from here. The horses' hooves clip-clop on asphalt as they shift around, and I hear that. Broken glass crunches beneath boots, and I hear that. 1,000 chests heave and breathe heavily, and I hear all of them. Even with my eyes closed, I know exactly where I am." And like that is just so good, and that's the kind of like writing and description that's in this book that I really enjoyed. Obviously, there are 2 characters and 2 writers, so the voices are different, but I found them both equally strong, even if they had distinct voices. As far as characters go, our 2 main characters are Lena and Campbell. They are both well-rounded and pretty distinct. They have 2 very unique perspectives. Besides the obvious racial perspective, there's an added dynamic because Campbell is new to this school, to this city, and Lena has lived here basically her whole life. And that makes the way that they see the world and describe the world very different. Campbell provides a lot more surface level descriptions because she's experiencing things for the first time. Whereas Lena provides a lot more subtle details, especially about the people that they encounter. I mentioned this in my clip about annotating, but there were so many minor characters whose names Lena knew and whose little details she knew about them because she grew up with them. And the world is so populated because Lena knows it so well. Also, having a black main character and a white main character written by a black author and a white author respectively really added a lot of dimension to this book. It is about these two girls experiencing a mass disturbance or race riot together, and obviously they're going to approach that from different ways based on their background. Lena gives us the black perspective on this, obviously, and she gives us a lot of the racial history and injustice that goes behind this that have made the air so tense. Whereas Campbell comes at this from a more naive, kind of ignorant perspective on race, and I think having those unique perspectives helped this book tackle this issue, as they say, issue books, very well. I have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and there is an interview with the authors in this edition in which they specifically talk about how their unique perspectives helped them and how they approached it from an honest and accountable position with each other, and I think you can really see that in this book. Lastly, I want to talk about some thoughts on the plot. I tracked various threads of the story with the yellow tabs, and I feel like they all came together really well. The climax especially, the tension and the stakes just built and built, and it was so good. I also enjoyed being able to track Lena and Campbell's journey on the map that came in my edition. You can't see it because I did it in pencil, but, ooh, my bookmark just fell out. But I did track where they were going, and that's really nice for me as a non-visual reader, so I do recommend trying to get the edition with the map if you can. However, the plot is also where my one gripe with this book comes up. So Lena has a boyfriend in this book. His name is Black. That's not a spoiler. He's literally mentioned in the first line. And her relationship with him isn't great. It's one of those things where everyone around you doesn't like your boyfriend and you don't understand why. But usually when that happens, there's a reason. And you could get frustrated with her and how she doesn't see the things that are wrong with her relationship, but I also felt like that was very realistic for a teenage girl. Looking back on my high school experience, I'm like, yeah, these kind of relationships can play a big part in your motivations and all that. And that was realistic, and I want to put that out there first. However, some of Lena's motivations that drove the plot, I felt like were unclear. It was like the pieces were there, but they weren't connected. Like there was like a sentence or two that was missing that would have made it clear what was happening. It starts kind of early in the book when Lena and Campbell are trying to make a plan to get away from their school, where the mass disturbance first breaks out. I'm trying to talk about this without giving too many spoilers. They make a plan to go a certain way, but as they continued to progress and as I was following them on the map, I didn't really understand why they had made that choice. Campbell made the choice to stay with Lena, but I didn't understand why Lena was going this route instead of another route that seemed like it matched the ultimate goal, which was to get home better. So I guess ultimately the question was, what was Lena's motivation? Was it to get home, or was it to see her boyfriend? Was it a little bit of both? With one being more important than the other, it was kind of hard to tell. And I think by the end I had figured it out, but I did feel like there could have been a couple sentences in a few different spots just to add clarification about why we were going the way that we were going. And that was the end of my first official review. And now I'm gonna do my booktuber shoutouts. So for this segment of the video, I wanted to highlight other booktubers that have also made videos or reviews about this same book. I thought it would be a great way to expand the conversation within my reviews and provide diverse perspectives on a book. I was able to find 4 other video reviews of I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. I will put the lovely people's pictures on the screen as I discuss them. I don't know how to link a picture in a video, so all the links will be down below because I don't think I can link more than one video in a card at a time. But here are the 4 videos that I found. I found one by The Scorpio Reader and one by Beauty and the Books. Both of these booktubers reviewed arcs. And then I found reviews by Reads with Rachel and Riley Freitag, who both reviewed the Barnes & Noble book club edition and went to the book club event, not at my store, but to one of them, which is really cool because in a way, if I leave comments and interact with them on their videos, it's kind of like I got to have my event, even though no one came. These reviews were mostly positive, except for Rachel, who gave the book 2 stars, and I do understand most of her points. Interestingly, both Riley and Rachel, who had the books with the maps in them, noticed the same discrepancy I did in the plot, where it seems like the characters keep heading away from home for no reason, whereas Beauty in the Books and the Scorpio reader who read ARCs and didn't have the map didn't mention this issue and liked it a lot more. The map is supposed to add something to the reading, and I personally enjoy having that visual to help me understand the story. But yet, in this case, it kind of made the characters' decisions seem silly. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm really proud of it. I'm really happy with it. I think I will be. I haven't started editing yet, which is a problem. Let me know down in the comments what you think, if you're going to read this book, if you read this book, and what you thought. Thanks for watching. I love you. Bye.